All right, so I'll share the chart. All right. Have you seen, so you've seen this before then, right? Because you've done.
Yeah, I've seen this before because I watched your video with Elsa.
Oh, okay, cool. So of course, yours is going to be a little bit different. So when you were born, of course, so how it kind of works, and if you've watched the past videos, you'll I've already explained this a few times now, but just in case anyone's watching the recording, if this is your first time, this is a map of where all the planets and some um, key asteroids as well were at the exact time and place in the sky that Jess was born. So for everyone, the moon was in Aries, for example, at the exact time that she was born, but because it's when you were born, it creates this kind of blueprint for your life. It kind of shows all these different elements that are taking place at that time. And then we have the second wheel, which starts with the first house, which is where the sun was rising at the time that she was born, because she was born at 11 p.m. So I guess an hour later ish. No, not an hour later. Sorry, that would have been midnight. But yeah, so obviously the sun wasn't rising at the time she was born. That was like around midnight. But the sun was rising in the sign of Libra, somewhere on the horizon. So that's how we create the house. That's how we get the house system. And then
Okay.
the seventh house is like the where the sun was setting at the time you were born. So it was in the sign of Aries, somewhere in the world, right? But these placements create it kind of makes the astrology chart a bit more personal too, because some of these planets are in for example, Saturn was in Aquarius for 2.5 years. So it affects a lot of people, where the house system is like it puts these bigger planets into more of a kind of personal reflection of. So when you're looking at the chart as well, the planet represents like a specific energy. It's like the what. For example, the moon is like the emotions or the inner child. Um, the sign is the how. So it's like, say, for example, you have a light and then you put a filter over it. So the sign is like the energy or the color, of that specific energy that's there. Like we all have an inner child, we all have feelings and emotions, but how we express them is different. And
Right.
then the house is the where. It's like the stage that this energy is playing on in your life.
That's cool.
That's one way to look at it. So because this is a shorter reading, and we started minutes late, so I'll give it about half an hour. I'll just really focus on the personal planets in this reading, and then because there's aspects and I'll of course end up talking about other things as well, but I'll kind of just focus on the key. And of course, if you have any questions at any time, feel free to jump in. So I'll start with your sun sign. I usually start with the rising, but your sun sign is actually, of course, you're on the cusp. You probably are aware of that. The way I learned astrology, I don't actually talk about cusps. I actually talk about the 29th degree or the first degree of a sign. Those are very critical degrees of a sign. So you are definitely an Aquarius, but there's a specific element to being at the last degree of a sign. It's a critical degree. And it kind of represents like you're at the very you were incarnated in this lifetime to be an Aquarian again. Though sometimes it might feel like you're ready to be a Pisces, like you're ready to move on. Um,
Mm.
so that's kind of the energy of the 29th degree because it's your sun sign. Your sun sign is like how we ideally should be expressing ourselves and doing things. It's very like, um, well, um, personal. It's very like, uh, uh, obviously it's very potent. Like it's basically how we should be doing life is our sun sign. So so it's like you are like at the core of your personality and your kind of outward expression um, on this critical degree. And then also we're like moving into this age of Aquarius as well, which is kind of interesting. And you have Mercury and Saturn there in Aquarius too. So you do have a lot of Saturn, or sorry, a lot of Aquarius energy in your chart. So being like a mature Aquarian or like the last degree, it's like Aquarians can be um they're obviously they think about the bigger picture of everyone and they kind of they just are like they don't always fit in, they're a little bit different, right? But it's their and it can be it's not an easy lesson all the time. Like I used to look at Aquarians and be like, wow, Aquarians are so cool, but the thing is they really have to learn that
Yeah.
they don't, that they're different. And so especially I think at the 29th degree, like you might have had this feeling of like, oh, I know this already. Like, why can't I just like Pisces is so like it's all about like no boundaries, like endless love, being connected to spirit, kind of like nothing bothers you, being the artist as well. Aquarians can be really kind of fixed and rigid in their thinking, though they think outside the box, but they also they think they're right. They often are, they're very intelligent. Um, but but yeah, so this can be kind of this feeling that you have in your life, like,
Yeah,
and
that's very accurate.
oh wow, yeah, the 29th degree is like really powerful.
Yeah. Hmm, that's cool.
Interesting. Yeah, and then you have Saturn is the first degree. Like, well, actually, if something's at 0, that's the first degree. But still, you're at like, when you were born, Saturn was just coming into Aquarius. So you just had your Saturn return about last year. Did you have any like big kind of life changes recently? Or like,
Mm, big life changes. Well, I would say like last year I had like a pretty big spiritual awakening
mm,
and like like ended up going into a manic state and had like a psychosis.
oh
Was
wow.
yeah, and was hospitalized and came out of that with like a whole new world view, I would say. So that was a big thing.
Mm. Wow. So yes, I mean, if that was a like new experience for you, right? Like
Yeah, that was very,
that's
very new.
and the Saturn return, like it doesn't it takes place over the 2.5 years, and Saturn's still in um I mean, it was coming close when it was still in Capricorn, but
Mm,
because your Saturn is in Aquarius, it's still in your element, now, like
mm,
it's still in Aquarius for another year or so. So
mm,
so you could still be kind of learning these lessons of what happened. And
mhm,
yeah, wow, how interesting. And I mean, Saturn return can come about in so many ways, but it's like this great maturing. It's like we're finally
mm,
adults, like,
mhm.
when after we hit our Saturn return. So um and anyway, so because it's at the first degree, it's almost like you're, in a way, it's like you're at this 29th, like your personality, you're at this like late degree of Aquarius, but your
Yeah.
Saturn, it's like your Saturn represents like our big challenges that we have to overcome in this lifetime. Like, yeah, it represents like the kind of the rules or limits that are placed on us, and then the depending on how it's aspected in our charts, you know, that could be good or bad or helpful or not. But because it's like you're yeah, the very first degree of Aquarius too. So at the same time, just coming into like maybe being challenged by how do I think about the bigger picture of
Mhm.
um, everyone and not just myself and what I want and my ambitions. Um, or, you know, also being challenged like this time, this whole like age of Aquarius, um, where everything's kind of changing too. We're coming into like this age of technology as well. Because Saturn is like the world outside of us and governments, it's not really so inwardly felt. Um,
Right.
so it could be like having sort of a challenges with that too, like dealing with this the world kind of changing and becoming something different. Um, okay, anyway, I'm kind of getting lost now because okay, I said I would focus on the personal planets. So and then of course your moon is very important. It's like the night to your day, right? So it's like the your inner experience, your like I said before, your inner child, your emotions. Yours in Aries, so welcome to the club because me, Ali, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I think Alex as well. Or there was someone else I did a reading for in the group who all have their moon in Aries. So it kind of when you find other people with the same moon sign, it is like a soul tribe. Like it kind of shows like this like Aries. Not it doesn't mean that like you and I were like definitely in a past life together or something like that. That's not what I'm
Yeah.
saying. But
Yeah.
it's like this resonance, you know. But
Mm.
it can point to like say if you were in a relationship with someone with the same moon sign, you might have been like a part of the same um yeah like past life or like
Yeah.
soul tribe literally. So that's pretty cool. It does relate to past lives as well because it's like our inner DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty
Cool.
cool. So Aries, so moon in Aries is like you're a like one part fighter, one part lover. You know, it's like
Mm.
yeah, Aries are they're very people see them as like the warriors, and that's true. They're like they're fighters and they're full of fire. Um, but they're also the lamb. That's it's like its archetype, right? So they're the first sign of the zodiac. So they also just like a baby coming into the world, they need love, they need attention, and they are loving, you know. So they're like very soft and sweet, but they're also like ready to like charge forward. And so this is like, yeah, it represents your so very like kind of playful spirit, and it shows up in your sixth house. So very like committed to your work, the work that you're here to do, um, the kind of daily duties that you have, being of service, being relevant, whether that's you know at home or at a job. It doesn't matter. The sixth house it isn't just your work, but it's like your um, yeah, like the details of daily life.
Mhm.
Um, so and then we have your yeah it's I kind of skipped over your rising sign. I do usually start with the first house because it's like that kind of first outward personality that people see. It's like the what you're kind of projecting out there, also what you're learning in this lifetime, what you what kind of how you were kind of raised to be in the world as well. It's kind of like why we kind of project it out there and like we're becoming our rising sign. So yours is in Libra. It's all about learning at the later degrees of Libra. So um, you might have a handle on this, you might not, because it's at the later degree, it's like a bit more maturity. But Libra's all about partnership, the other relationship. So like being in relationship might be like kind of a theme that you're kind of learning this lifetime, like being in harmonious relationship, being in harmony, being in balance. What does that look like, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. Sorry, did you have a question?
No, I was just gonna like, I think that that's really interesting. I would say, especially even just in the last week or 2 weeks, I would say I've been putting a lot of focus on my relationships and how I show up with people, and like being authentic with people in those relationships and stuff like that. So it's kind of right on
Mhm,
point.
mhm. And I think too, like once we hit our Saturn return, then like the lessons and the themes in the chart really, you're like, oh yeah, like I totally get what that means now. Where I
Mm,
think if we try to analyze too much, like almost before um our Saturn return, or when we're really young, it's like you're still kind of unconscious to what's at play. So
yeah.
yeah, so I think yeah, it's cool that you're kind of seeing that now. But it could
Mhm.
also be other influences. You have Uranus moving through your seventh house, which is also like relationships, partnerships. That could be at play too. Uranus is all about like new ideas and sudden changes and new ways of doing and being. Mhm.
Hmm.
And then in your first house, you could almost see like your whole first house as an
Mhm.
extension of your ascendant, your rising sign. So it's ruled by Libra. So that's like the energy of um, your, yeah, like your core outward personality, what you're kind of reaching for, what other people see. And it's ruled by Libra, but you also have I mean, it's actually mostly Scorpio, and you have Pluto and Ceres in Scorpio. Ceres is an asteroid. Some of these asteroids are so big and prominent that they're considered to be small planets now.
Hmm.
So Ceres is represents the abundance, like
Mm,
it's like the goddess of abundance and the harvest. So it can be financial, but it's also just like this energy of like abundance, like what brings you a sense of abundance, prosperity, right? So in your first house and like pretty close to your ascendant too, um, and also in Scorpio, like real depth, and then also you have like Pluto in your first house, and it's squaring your Sun and Mercury as well. So it's like you do have this real kind of strong Scorpio energy in you, like you within your kind of like initial personality, your immediate personality. Like it's not who you are necessarily, but it's like this kind of intensity um, and this power. Like because there's a square, like squares are a little bit more challenging, so it could show up as like power tripping or like control. Like I just, like Pluto, both Pluto and Scorpio um, are like that. But the good side of it, right, is like Scorpios are um, they're they're like shamanic, like they have so much power and potential for healing inside of them. Like it's a really beautiful sign. It is also well aspected, like your Pluto is a part of your Grand Water Trine here. So you do have right at the core of your personality, you do have a lot of like potential for healing, for yeah, it's interesting that you said um, about your psychosis and stuff. Like, obviously, I don't know the whole story, but when I
mm,
hear that, I think, okay, it could be like you said a spiritual awakening yourself, so it's like access to this spirit world, right? Like a grand water trine like this, especially with Pluto, is like, um, yeah, it's like psychic gifts as well. That's water.
mm,
Um, and like intuition, um, emotional intelligence, just getting people. Water is healing. It's very feminine, soothing, nourishing, right? So wow. So also like being a mom, like you have your like Venus in the fifth house, which represents like procreation and children, and Venus is also all about like abundance and love and the things that you like and your experience of beauty and abundance and pleasure. So uh, and also just like it's our feminine, it's our like immediate personal feminine aspect. And then it's trining up here with Chiron at the 22nd degree. Chiron is the wounded healer, so it's again healer, right? But
Yeah.
but you know it's not easy. Obviously, um, had to go through some great challenges. Like Chiron is not a light subject. Like it basically represents our pain. You know, we all have it somewhere, but
Yeah.
Chiron, yeah, but you know, so it can be. It's usually some kind of ego wound because that's like you know the nature of being human, right? But sometimes it can be like physical pain or you know whatever. In your case, it's in Cancer, which is also the sign of the mother. You know, how interesting. Um, for anyone watching this recording, we were talking in the beginning about Jessica having 4 young children. Yeah, so pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's a part of your purpose, right? And to have 2 at the end like that, like
Yeah. Yeah, I have twins for those that don't know, and that was unexpected, but a blessing.
yeah, absolutely, a double blessing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. And okay. So yeah, definitely. I have to touch on this brand. I just did, but it's totally a part of your like, um, you know, the kind of key aspects in your chart here. It's very obvious. It's very beautiful. It's like this perfect triangle there. So definitely a part of your gifts. Like obviously it's challenging. Chiron's always challenging. Pluto is intense and challenging.
Mhm.
Um, but but also like you because it's all in a trine here, it's like this beautiful gift. It's well aspected. So hopefully you can learn and receive the abundance from this wounding, this pain. You know, because you also have your south node there, which represents like past lives as well. In Chiron, it could actually be related literally to a past life that you're in this life to kind of, and it's in Cancer, the mother, you know, so perhaps the ninth house is all about like higher education as
Mm.
well. So it's all kind of in the ninth house, which is interesting. So like being the eternal student and teacher of this subject. So you really could be um, uh, teaching, um, yeah, or like not from like the thing is with ninth house, it's not like this kind of ego thing. Like I will be a master at this and teach everyone. It's like the eternal student and teacher. It's very authentic, right?
Mm.
And then I also, because it is like opposing with this Chiron, even though it's in this beautiful trine, it is opposing your Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune here. So oppositions are not easy either. So it's just like another, it really, in the third house. So it could have been something to do with siblings or peers as well. That kind of, um, that's like third house. Also, like third house is, well, interesting that it is the mind as well. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. So how interesting.
Yeah, that
Um,
is interesting.
yeah, the mind, our intellect, our communication. Wow.
Hmm.
Mhm.
This is so cool.
Yeah, it's already 8:30. So you can see like how much like there's so much. So obviously, like, yeah, like, obviously when I do like a full reading, it goes up to like an hour and a half sometimes. And so it's um you can kind of go into like, your personal questions and really get them answered and stuff. This is kind of just like a
Snap.
here's like, so much of what you can learn from an
Yeah.
astrology chart. And then also you watched the video with Elsa, which is great because in that video I talked about um how the astrology chart, it's like our souls. I'm not gonna be able to say it exactly right again, but it's like our soul's um blueprint. It doesn't
Mm.
mean it's like that we don't have free will outside of it. That it's not like the um yeah, I think it's just important that I've had people before be like, no, I don't want an astrology reading because I don't trust people who think they can like read the future or something like that. And it's like, no, I'm never saying that this is like what you're destined to experience. Like we all have free will and we all have, and then also it's like we're given these gifts or these challenges, and then what do you make of it, right?
Yeah, that's
So
right.
yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so another thing I noticed about your chart, which is pretty cool, is that you have your Chiron is at the 22nd degree, which is a master power number in numerology. It's a master builder number. So also like everything I was saying about your Grand Trine here, about the potential there, it says
Yeah.
master builder. So you could be like building, say, like I said, it's in the ninth house, like teaching, learning, building, you know, I don't know, building
Yeah, like
like a business
this
or
one-
something from it.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. I was thinking like community.
Mm.
And yeah. This is very interesting to me.
Yeah, and then also your Lilith as well. So when there's like two power numbers there, right? It's like
Yeah.
another, and Black Moon Lilith is like also kind of a subconscious aspect. It's also an asteroid, so it represents the kind of the suppressed feminine aspect that
Mm.
then so it's like where you've been suppressed in life and where you will kind of rise up outside of it. It's also at the 22nd degree, so it's like this kind of, I see this as like a healer up here, Chiron, and then I see this as like just like divine feminine, like really, because it's 22, 22, it's like, oh, you can kind of just pay more attention to them. And then
Mhm.
also your Pluto is that the thing is sometimes these different astrology websites and different calculators are slightly different, but
Mm.
still your Pluto's at 20 degrees, 22 minutes and 22 seconds. So how cool that you have
Wow.
like more like 22s in your chart.
Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah, and then your moon is at the 11th degree, which is like old soul. So you have
Yeah.
lots of power numbers in your chart.
Hmm. What does that mean? Like,
It's I'm not like big into numerology,
yeah.
but some like the power numbers I take note of, and there's certain degrees like 29. There's certain things that I just know that in numerology you go from 1 through 9.
Hmm.
And you always break down the numbers to one digit unless it breaks down to 11, 22, or 33. So there's three power numbers. So I think it just kind of adds a bit of a oomph to that sign. It's like, oh, let's pay
Yeah.
special attention to this one. Or if you actually look at like numerology calculators, like if your life path number is 11, 22, or 33, it's just a lot more like it's one of those numbers that's not easy. It's almost like you're given more challenge,
Mhm.
more opportunity to grow, but it's like a power number, right? So it's like
Yeah.
you're given these gifts and these challenges, and what do you make of it, right? So sometimes if people have a power number, sometimes it's like it doesn't necessarily mean they'll be great, you know, but they have this potential, they've been given this, and then sometimes it yeah, it shows greatness, you know. If I know that's kind of a vague word, but you know what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
right? It's early for me, by the way.
Yeah, I guess it's really early for you.
Oh yeah, yeah, earlier I said it's 8:30, but I guess for you it's like what, 10:30 or no?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's 10. No, yeah, 10:30. 10:35 here now. Yeah.
cool. So do you have any now it's been half an hour of me kind of just reading different elements in the chart. What else do you want to know? Because we can do another like 10-15 minutes.
I mean, I don't even know. Like, I just find this all so fascinating. Like, is it normal or not normal? Maybe that's the wrong word, but common to have this perfect triangle? Because that really fascinates me.
It is not super uncommon. Like I will often look for trines in people's charts,
Mhm.
and squares.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I would say it's when it looks like this, because often it's trining with like the midheaven or the ascendant, and then it doesn't show up in the chart quite like this. It's really cool when it looks like this perfect triangle in the chart. It's not super common, no.
Hmm.
And then you have this little triangle here too. That's another kind of, you know, your moon, Mars, and Jupiter. That's nice too. They're all kind of like winking at each other in the sky. It's another kind of shows another kind of gift as well. But it's not this perfect, yeah.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
It's rare, but it's not like, yeah, you know what I mean. It's not like super
Yeah.
duper rare, but it's
Yeah.
pretty rare. Yeah, it's pretty special.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's
I'm just
cool.
looking down here because ascendant is trining your moon and Mercury, but you don't have any like major trines with your ascendant and midheaven. So yeah, it just doesn't show up in the main chart.
Hmm.
Yeah, and the thing is, like when I first started studying astrology too, and like would notice all these like in my chart I have a lot. I have like a big red square, and I have like all these oppositions and red lines. And
Cool.
I've really come to realize that because that kind of represents more disharmonious or negative or challenging aspects, where the blue lines are more harmonious, helpful aspects. So, but as I've been reading people's charts and learning more about astrology, what I've come to realize is that the blue lines or these kind of gifts that we've been given, it can lead some people to complacency. Sometimes they have such an easy life, right? Where
Mm.
the challenging aspects sometimes lead people to overcome challenges and become great. I've been saying that word a lot today. Can't think of anything better to say. And then vice versa too. The gifts should be used as gifts, and then you have all this amazing potential. Um, and then sometimes the challenges, sometimes they challenge people to crippling effect, and they don't get out of bed, and
Yeah.
so so it truly, like when I see people with a lot of challenges, like all these oppositions here to your Chiron, it's like, yes, like you set yourself up for this challenge in this life. Like you were meant to learn from this, overcome this, especially the first half of your life, or not first half, but I mean before your first Saturn return. Probably
Mhm.
hasn't been easy, but then in the end we should really bless and be thankful for our all these like big challenges, right?
Yeah, that's definitely where I feel like I'm at right now. Like, kind of moving past all this baggage that happened in the first 30 years and letting it go, and then stepping into just this blank slate of possibilities and what I want to create for my life.
Mm-hmm.
And stepping into some of these gifts. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had said like psychic abilities. Like, can you tell anything else about what these gifts are from this chart?
Let's see. I'll just do like a water shrine gifts. Let's see what comes up here. Sometimes it's helpful just to see what other people have to say about it. Because it's like, it's like your gift. Like if you the element of water, it's feminine, it's grounded, it's flowy, it's flexible. It represents our emotional world and our the way that we connect with other people and with life on this kind of emotional feeling level. So the gift that comes with it. Oh, okay. See what this person says. let's vibe with it.com. Grand Trines. Yes. Yeah, even she's saying right here, interesting. Some astrologers say they aren't important because they're harmonious. That's interesting. I think Grand
That
Trines
is.
can be a secret weapon. So I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, because when people with these Grand Trines and these harmonious aspects, when they use it, then they kick ass. It's true. I've seen it with other people's charts. Okay, so Grand Trines. Okay, Grand Water Trine almost always equates to a deeply intuitive person. They are so in touch with emotions, able to read others, and often very psychic. Yeah. And your
Yeah.
Pluto is there too, and Pluto is like so powerful. It literally represents like inner power and kind of the journey that you have to take to get there. So that's like a part of your Grand Trine too. And like I talked about Chiron a lot because Chiron also it's like painful, but it's this great potential for healing. And if we overcome that pain, then it's like that's like the hardest task of being human.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And then you have this one here that's like not like it's not like all the elements or anything, but it is your Mars, your energy, your drive, your passion. That's like your kind of masculine expression. In the sign of Gemini is really cool. It's like a really good place for Mars to be. Join the club with Ali as well. She has that too. And I know I have another friend who is a life coach as well, and she's also an astrologer too, actually. So,
Cool.
and her Mars is in Gemini, and yeah, so she was telling me about that kind of the potential of it, like this jack of all trades kind of energy, being able to accomplish a lot and get things done. Like because it's so well aspected, it's like yes, like you're been blessed with this like this kind of drive and this like energy to get things done, and it's well aspected to your moon, like your moon in like we were talking about earlier, like this your work, your service, and then it's trining with your Jupiter. So this like potential for it's right at the very first degree of your 10th house. So like your potentially your career, like how this could affect your career. I guess your public persona.
Yeah.
Yeah, so interesting. I could go on and on, obviously, because I love it so much.
Yeah. I can see how you would get lost in this, like, because it's so interesting. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot to learn there.
And I've actually simplified it a bit. I've taken out a couple of asteroids that I had in there before, and like, because yeah, and like it's important to just focus on the bigger picture, and like key aspects. I think because you can't get lost in
Yeah.
it.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for putting this together for me. Like that's
Oh
super
yeah.
nice.
Yeah, no problem. Let me know if you have any. Yeah, I'll send you the recording so you can listen to
Sure,
it
that
again.
would be awesome.
Yeah, and then of course it'll be uploaded to the Spiritual Social Network. And for anyone listening to this recording, um, I'm going to be wrapping up with these really soon. I have one left. And if you really wanted to, if you're in the Spiritual Social Network and you really wanted one of these readings, reach out to me now. And then maybe we can schedule for later because I really want to start focusing on teaching like really kind of basic beginner astrology and having more energy to post about stuff like that in the group because there are a lot of um, beginners in this group. So I'm going to go back to the very beginning. On that note, I am doing a workshop on May 19th. I think it's happening at 7 p.m. CST, um, 5 p.m. PST, because evenings seem to work better for most people. So I think that's a Wednesday the 19th. And I'm going to be doing like a whole journey through the zodiac wheel. So that's like very beginner. We'll touch on all of the kind of elements of each of the signs, and then we'll start to kind of build from there. So that should be really cool. And thanks again, Jessica, for volunteering your birth chart today and all your questions and everything.
Oh, happy to do it. Thank you for putting the time in for this. This was great. I feel like I learned a lot and was validated in a lot of things that are going on with me. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
That's always my goal above all else. And also I get so much from it too. So I really mean it. I'm like, oh, thank you. Because it's like, it's so cool to just see people's, I'm still learning as I go, right? Because everyone's chart is so different. So
Yeah.
it's so fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And it's kind of just like, it's funny in a way how you're kind of going throughout your life, like doing things, and then you get this a reading like this done, and you're like, oh, I'm kind of on track in a way. Like I feel like I'm living aligned, and then seeing that is just, yeah, to me reassuring in a lot of
Oh,
ways.
wow. Yay. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay, I'll let
Well,
you go and
sounds
have a
good.
wonderful day.
Thank
Yeah.
you. You
Thank
too.
you. Take care.
Bye.